Here's something that's really important to me. What's really important to me is to imagine that I'm talking to someone right now who is not already 100% committed to the Christian way, to following Jesus, to maybe believing, but more important, making the following of God a core part of your life. That's really important to me, and I kind of hope that you are one of those people. I'm Jeremy. I'm the pastor at communitychurchumc.org, Community United Methodist Church in North Muskegon, Michigan. Welcome to the Takeout. So, I love talking to people who don't share my point of view. I really don't understand not wanting to talk to anybody who agrees with you. And I know a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we were always talking about how everybody in America seems to be in an echo chamber. Well, church is like the original echo chamber, where we only seem comfortable reinforcing one another's beliefs, misbeliefs, anti-beliefs, whatever you got. And then we get into a weird insider world where I'm interested in beating your opinion down and arguing my way. And it's always about me and mine, and it's not about you and yours, and it's not about appreciating each other, it's not about understanding each other, it's about winning. And this is such a mess up by the church. And it's not new, it's been going on forever. It didn't start in the 1980s with the rise of the political religious right. It didn't start in the 1950s with the invention of fundamentalism. It didn't start, with any of those things. Church people have been putting down everybody who disagrees with them for thousands of years, and so why would I bother being a Christian? Yeah, totally. Can I help distinguish maybe between the whole church thing and the main thing? And the church thing is belonging to a group that usually has a building and has a pastor and has a list of things that they believe and has a bunch of practices that they have to stick to, or else the world will fall apart, and they get arguments in the parking lot over what the pastor said, and they split and they form a new one. That's the one side. And then the other side, over here, can I suggest this is the one that matters? Try to follow Jesus. Get that again? Try to follow Jesus. So I try to be clear that my job is not to keep strengthening this side over here, the church side. And we people who are committed to a church, we get off track. We spend too much time, too much energy thinking about church and trying to preserve church in a changing world. It's like trying to preserve, some really old style business. It's like trying to preserve Sears and keep the same old model going. If Montgomery Ward, which died before Sears, had insisted on we can only do a mail order catalog, or if Sears stuck to their old way of doing department store, well, that's not working anymore. We need a new model. I want to tell you, it doesn't matter what model we use. Let's use whatever works. But the main thing is not the model we use, and it's not selling toasters for sure, and it's not selling, sport suits. Remember those? Those casual suits? I can't remember what we called them. With pockets right here and lapels, and usually kind of green or orange. It was awesome. No, we don't have to go there. We don't have to believe that any of these things matter. No, none of it. What matters is follow Jesus. So, the first church people, arguably, were the 11 people. And we don't know how many others there were, but there were at least these 11 who gathered on a hill or a mountain in Galilee, according to the end of the Gospel of Matthew. In Luke or in Acts, which is written by Luke, they gather in Jerusalem, it seems like, but it's not entirely clear. It might be an editing issue. I don't know. But let's put them in Galilee. Let's be in the last half of the last chapter of the Gospel of Matthew. And these 11 show up because Jesus said to them, before Jesus died, Jesus said, or maybe it's after, said to them, meet me on that mountain. You know the one. Go there. They go, okay, we'll go there. And then Jesus shows up, and they freak out, and they worship Jesus. We don't know how they worshiped. Seems like they probably got on their knees, maybe bowed to the ground in this traditional kind of praying, worshiping pose. Yeah, that's good. And then it says some of them doubted that it was really Jesus, and then Jesus kind of stepped a little. They did that as soon as they saw Jesus, and then Jesus walks over a little closer to them and starts telling them stuff, telling them what to do. And Jesus said, go and start denominations, and I want you to have arguments over theology, and I want you to condemn to hell all the people who don't think just the way you do, and I want to make sure you sing songs that nobody outside Christianity knows, and I want you to have all kinds of insider language. I want you to talk about Trinity. I want you to talk about real presence. I want you to talk about transubstantiation. I want you to talk about means of grace. I want you to talk about blah, 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 blah. And I want you to be exclusive, and I want you to have a professional clergy, and I want to make sure you have buildings that suck up all your budget. How's that? Is that what Jesus said? I think you're suspecting that maybe I'm not quoting the text quite right. I'm not quoting the text right at all. None of that. Jesus did not say any of those things. And yet we act as though those are the essential things that we can't do without. So what Jesus really said was go. Not just anywhere, not like go to Wesco and get an extra big Mountain Dew. It was go. And make disciples of all nations, baptizing them. So he's told them, don't stay in one place. Don't stay where you are. Don't be comfortable. That first word, go, is kind of an uncomfortable word by nature. I mean, no one travels right now too much if we can avoid it with coronavirus. But the go part is challenging. It's go to the whole world. Make disciples of all nations. And that meant, it's the kind of the opposite of almost every church. It's been proven that it's really difficult for any church to succeed at fully engaging people of different ethnic backgrounds. Even a church in America that's that's both black and white. There's just not many of them, and it's just difficult for us culturally. I don't know, because white people like to be the boss, and we can't accept black people as boss. Is that what it is? I don't know. Is it because, that first black person in the door looks around and goes, I don't want to be the only M&M in the bowl? Is it, I just don't want to stick out. I want to be in a place where no one is looking at me with suspicion. No one's staring at me. I don't have to feel different. Absolutely, all these things are true, and that makes it culturally difficult to bring all nations into the church. And yet, this is exactly the thing Jesus said. He didn't say bring them into the church. He said, whether you bring them into here or bring them into somewhere else, whatever, but go and make disciples of all nations. Go to everywhere. Go to Azerbaijan, go to India, go to Tunisia, go to Britain, go to all the places where people live. Go to Thailand, go to China, Tibet, go there, go to Peru, and make disciples out of whoever you find. Go all those places, meet all those people in all those places. Hang out with all of them, spend time with all of them, and he says, making them disciples means, first of all, persuading them somehow, speaking their language in a way that makes them want to follow. And then teaching them. And teaching them what? Teaching them a bunch of theology? That's kind of what we imagined. But that is absolutely not what Jesus says. Jesus does not say teaching them the Shorter Catechism of Luther, teaching them, Roman Catholic adult education, teaching them with a confirmation class, with a Sunday school. No. Teaching them not to believe this and believe that and agree with this and agree with that. Teaching them instead to do everything that I command you. Teach them to do what I commanded you. And doing is what makes you a follower. Believing doesn't make you a follower. Does that make sense? Doing is what makes you a follower. And what did Jesus say to do? Well, that's actually easy to sum up. Love. So go make disciples of love. People who will do what I said. That's our job as church. And it's why I really would rather, I get really a desire to talk to people who don't already have a firm understanding of what this whole Christian message is about, who don't have already a firm opinion about every darn thing in theology. I would rather lay it out this way. And that's why I want to lay it out for you. Lay it out this way, that Jesus wants people who will love. Now, let me speak for a second about why I like church. I like church because of people. Because I like people. I don't like all people. And sometimes I really want to be by myself. I'm one of the people for whom coronavirus is not that, or quarantine is not all that awful. I actually am okay with a lot of time at home, not being able to gather in large groups. That's not the thing. But I do love people. And I love people who can walk this walk with me. I love people who will say to me, hey, Jeremy, how you doing? I just had a guy at church say this to me last week. Jeremy, how you doing? Knowing that I was, having some stress here, some stress there. We just moved, and there's family health stuff, and there's this and there's that. And if there's anything you need, I want you to be sure and let me know. Can I do this for you? Get real specific. Can I help you with that? We had some people come over and, talk to us about things. Say, how you doing? Check in, like we care for each other. I think we all desperately need people who care about us, right? We just don't always know where to find those people, and I want to suggest that church is really good for that. And church is really good as a part of that. Church is really good as a place where we share faith. I think if you're going to learn about Jesus, it's probably super helpful to learn from someone who's been learning about Jesus themselves for longer than you have. And I might qualify as that person. Or any number of other folks. There's lots of folks, and that's the great thing. That's why I like church. But I don't want to confuse church with Jesus. Jesus founded the church, started the church, and then said, but your main job is not an institution. Your main job is make disciples. And that means not make believers. Your job is make people who want to follow the rule of love. That's all I wanted to tell you. I want you to be encouraged to love some more. I really hope that if you are someone who doesn't agree, doesn't understand, doesn't get it, maybe you've got some complaints about church in the past, maybe complaints about church in the very present, I hope you'll get in touch with me. Let me know. All the contact information is on the website, communitychurchumc.org. Go there and keep in touch with us. God bless you.